If you've been struggling to make your comic at any point, then you cannot afford to miss this video. Because you've been making a huge mistake with your comic, and as soon as I point it out to you, it'll feel like a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, and you'll start making a better comic faster. So let's not waste any time and get straight into it. The mistake that you've been making is that you're spending way more than your budget allows you to, and it's putting you in tremendous amounts of debt. The sharks are circling and they're gonna get you sooner rather than later. But I'm not paying anyone to make my comic, I hear you say, and that's cool, but I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about energy. Most of us want to make the most badass and amazing comic with top quality art and hundreds of pages. I do too, and we dive straight into our comic with that mentality, and we don't stop to ask ourselves a really important question. Are we capable of pulling that off? It's like we're an up-and-coming director and we want to hire all the best actors and use the most expensive CGI for our movie, because that's what's going to make it awesome. But we're not Hollywood. We're just a guy with a camera, and we just don't have that kind of budget. Hollywood does, and they can afford to hire the best actors, camera people, lighting people, makeup artists, set designers, concept artists, CGI guys, marketers, publishers, producers, runners, other people involved in movies, but we can't. And the thing is, as comic creators, especially solo comic creators, not only can we not afford that, but we have to do all of those jobs as one person. So that means we're working with a much smaller budget. To put this in comic terms, we are not DC, we are not Marvel, we are not a team of even 3 or 4 people, which is enough to create a really high quality comic that lasts for ages. We are one person. We are doing all of it. Even doing the job of 2 people is difficult enough. We're often doing the job of 3 or 4. And what that means is that we need to work smarter, not harder. And we can do this by utilizing the project management triangle, which is about as sexy as it sounds. It's this. This shows us our options when it comes to a project like a comic. There are 3 big options here, but we can only choose 2 of them. And each pair of these choices has a consequence. So if we choose good and fast, our consequence is that it's expensive because we'd need to hire other people to help, like colorists, inkers, letterers, and so on. If we choose cheap and fast, our consequence is that it will probably lack in quality because we're speed running through the drawings. And if we choose cheap and good, our consequence is that it will take a while to finish. To be clear, there isn't a right or wrong answer here. It's going to depend on things like your goals, your desires, and whether you can actually afford to hire extra people to help you. Now, personally, for me, I think option 3 is the best out of the lot of them. Cheap and good, but slow. The reason I think this is best isn't just because you're saving money by not having to pay anyone, but because being slow can actually speed up your comic production process. Stay with me, I promise this will make sense. And the best way that I can make this make sense is to replace the word slow with intentional. When we're talking about creating with intention, what we're really talking about is creating with a solid plan in place. It's the thing that holds your creativity together, and it's the thing that will keep you moving forwards with your comic. The TLDR is that if your comic is built on a sturdy foundation, then you'll get through it faster. A sturdy foundation includes things like sufficient character designs that actually work, a proper scope for your comic, like understanding how long it's going to be and whether it needs to be broken up, like in seasons. An art style that you can easily replicate consistently. Organizing all of your assets in an easy to locate way, like your scripts and references using things like Notion. Achievable goals and milestones you can hit along the way, a solid schedule that's both sturdy and flexible to deal with life, and techniques to deal with burnout. The problem that a lot of people have with doing many of the things that I've listed is that they're either not aware that they should be doing them, or they don't see that much value in them. They just want to start on their comic, and that's totally understandable. But think about it this way. Doing those things is like stretching and warming up before going on a marathon. You won't start as quickly as people who don't stretch and warm up, but you can be damn sure that you're going to overtake them while they're sitting on the sidelines with a twisted ankle. This is why I'm building my mentorship around these sorts of things, and there's a link to that in the description. So if you want more information, click the link. This is what I've done so far for my comic, which I haven't started yet, even though I really want to. So trust me, I understand why you want to just start your comic without planning too much. I've got the script done, and I've split it into 3 books, which are going to be around 50 to 80 pages each, rather than a single 200-page monster. I've got my character designs figured out, including the minor ones. I've got my art style figured out. I'm focusing on an exaggerated, semi-realistic style, and I'll truly nail that once I've done some test pages, which I'll be able to start soon. Very exciting. But first, I'm doing 3D models of my key environments, so I don't have to worry about things like consistency and perspective later on. I didn't mention that in the list because it's a pretty big ask, but it is something that I cover in my mentorship, and I've personally found learning 3D immensely useful, so I really recommend that you give 3D a go. I use Blender, it's free, just download it and have a play, see what happens. I've also been tracking my progress for the last few months, and I want to dive into that more because I don't see that many people talking about this in depth. But honestly, start tracking what you're doing with your comic. You don't have to do what I do, which is to track my progress and goals within Notion. You can use a piece of paper or a diary if that works for you. But if you're anything like me, those things are going to get lost or forgotten about. So Notion is what I recommend. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but I will check my bias now and say that I'm selling this template on screen in the description below. I genuinely do use it every day, but I just thought that's the reason why I'm using Notion as my example, because A, I use it, B, I'm selling a template. Speaking of being perhaps a little bit too honest, I'll be honest with you about tracking and goals and progress as well. I don't like doing it. I find it really, really boring. Granted, I've made it super duper easy with my awesome Notion template that you can get for the low price. Okay, I'll stop. But it's true, I do genuinely find it really boring. And honestly, it won't benefit you while you're tracking your progress. You'll feel it's pointless because in the moment that you are tracking your progress, it certainly feels pointless, and it kind of is. Like, you finished your drawing session and then you write a summary of what you did. That's not going to change that much in the moment. But that's not why we're tracking. It's not a box ticking exercise or a mindfulness exercise. We're tracking so that in 1 month's time, you can look back at the last month and you can see how far you've come. You can stop beating yourself up about how you've done nothing, and you can see that you've actually done a lot, especially if you add context to your progression. So maybe you didn't do that much this week because you were sick, or work was kicking your ass, or you were busy with other life events. Adding that sort of context can allow you to forgive yourself a lot more and not be quite as harsh on yourself if you haven't progressed as much as you expected or hoped that you would. Now, I don't know about you, but I forget a lot, and I'm constantly thinking that I'm just not doing enough. And it's only through looking at this that I realize how far I've come and how much I've achieved in a relatively short amount of time. Yay for me, and yay for you if you start tracking your work. So, plan your energy budget to fit your capabilities. You may have a lot of talent and ambition, but if you don't have a lot of time, then you're going to need to adjust how you approach making your comic and work smarter rather than harder. And you can do that by either simplifying your style or decreasing the length of your comic. Because the real key for finishing a comic isn't necessarily to study harder or draw faster or try and find some sort of hack. It's having a workflow that keeps you coming back to your comic day after day, week after week. So it's really important to manage your energy budget and track where you're spending your energy as you go. That way you can keep moving forwards consistently, even if the pace is as slow as a tortoise. But we all know who wins that race in the end. Not that it's a race. I've got to keep reminding myself, it's not a race. Now, one of the biggest impacts on the speed with which we complete our comics is the art style that we choose to use for it. And if you're not able to find yours, or you're stuck between multiple different art styles, then watch this video next, because I'll show you exactly how to find your art style for your comic.